Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Kajanan, and in this video, I'm going to be walking you through my YouTube studio setup in my quite small bedroom. Links to everything can be found in the description down below, and I would really appreciate if you could please use them, because one of the goals that I have with this channel is to make at least $1 this year, and though it's only February, it's not really looking likely. So any help that I could get would be really appreciated. So the reason that I'm making this video is because a month ago when I was trying to research how I could set up a YouTube studio in my room such that I didn't need to set it up each and every time I wanted to make a video, there wasn't that much information out there. And so I thought that if I am interested in this topic, then there's probably a handful of other small YouTubers who also are looking for this kind of information. And so I thought I'd create a video sharing, what my setup looks like, with the hope that it might inspire you to, pick up some particular pieces of gear that might assist you in making your own YouTube videos. So let's not waste any more time, and I'll walk you through my YouTube studio setup. So this is my YouTube studio setup, and as you can see, it's pretty small. My bed is right here. The reason why my bed isn't made at the moment is because I'm moving to Tamworth tomorrow, and so I had to wash my sheets today. But as you can also see, my bed is pressed right up against my wardrobe, so I don't really have any space to walk to access my wardrobe, so I've got to get up on the bed in order to do that. But these are the sacrifices we make to become big on YouTube. Anyway, so this is the setup. It's a pretty small space, so I'll keep going into the specific parts of it now. So one other thing that I want to mention is that this is by no means my ideal setup. I do want to get everything onto one stand, much like Caleb Pike shows in this video, but that'll require purchasing a few more things. And so I'll get onto that slowly over the next year, I think. So this is my new Sony A7IV that I got with the help of my sister. So thank you very much for that, Kartiayani. On it, I've got the Tamron 28-75 G2 lens. It's a pretty good lens, no complaints. I generally shoot pretty tight, between 35 and 50 millimeters. The reason for this is that I usually have a teleprompter attached to the end, and I script my videos quite a bit. And so when you're reading from a teleprompter, if you use too wide of an angle, then you can really tell when you're reading the teleprompter, or so I've heard. And so I chose to go for this focal length, because when the camera's further away from you, then your eyes aren't moving from side to side as much. Next is the boom pole that I've got here. This is a microphone stand with a boom pole on the end of it. Usually is the Rode Video Micro. That's how I record the audio, but I'm currently using that right now. As you can see, the microphone is quite far away from the camera, so I've got this extension cable which runs all the way down, and that attaches into the audio jack of the camera over there. Next, I've actually forgotten that I've got this tripod which was off eBay. It's called the Zome Z818C, and it's pretty good. Holds the camera up like a tripod, and so I would recommend it. So this light is the Godox FL150S. As you can see, the light and the attached softbox produces quite a soft light, as you can see in some of these clips, but it's considerably smaller than it would be if you used a proper softbox, like a parabolic softbox, which is what I previously used, but it was just too big for this setup. And that was set up on this light, which is the Godox VR150, which we'll get to in a second. So I've got this mounted on just this cheap light stand from Amazon. Yeah, it was like $30 for two of them or something like that. And I think it produces quite soft light. I've got this little honeycomb grid. I'm not sure if you can see that. So the reason I have this grid on this light is because I want to minimize how much light spills onto the background, just to give me a bit more background separation. Literally until today, I was using a green chair, and then I recently just saw this piano stool that we have sitting unused because we don't have a piano anymore. So I use this now as my seat of choice, and it's better than the old plastic chair that I used to have. So that's definitely an upgrade. Moving on to this little shelf. I mean, this is just like set design stuff that I think it just adds a bit of visual interest. Before, as you could see in some of my older videos, I just had a plain white wall, and I think that looked a little bit boring. So I've now bought this cheap Amazon shelf. Bought this cheap Amazon shelf for like, I don't know, $50, $60. I actually don't really like the color of it, but it holds a few different pieces, just some camera gear, a nice little light which I think provides like a nice orange glow on that side, and then I've got this other lamp which is just some random house lamp that we have. I don't particularly like the shape of it, but you know, you got to work with what you've got. And I use this, I've only got this showing blue because I like that kind of blue and orange or teal and orange look that people say looks good, and I think it looks pretty good. And then down here, what you usually don't see is just like a mess of other camera gear that I've got, so batteries and chargers and all that kind of stuff. And I forgot to mention that the camera that you're actually seeing me on right now is the Fujifilm X-S10, and I bought this camera at the end of 2020, I think. Yeah, as my main YouTube camera, but very recently, like within the past month, I got this Sony A7IV. But I really like Fujifilm and the cameras that they produce, but I just wanted a full frame camera really. For photography. Moving on, this light stand is another cheap light stand off Amazon, and I've got this light on it, which is the Godox VL150, and it's a COB light. I used to use this as my main video light, but because it was too big with the softbox and it prevented me from having it up all the time, I decided to purchase this new Godox flexible light panel, and so this became like a hair light. And so as you can see, I've only got it set to 4%, and it just casts this like nice little light on my back shoulder and my hair, which kind of separates me a little bit from the background. Definitely not necessary, and if I had purchased this from the beginning, then I would not have gotten this until I had a bigger setup. But since I'd already purchased it, I'm not going to get rid of it. So I think this is the setup that I'm going to be using for the next little while, because I'm going to be living here in Newcastle for the rest of this year. This move to Tamworth is only temporary for like 5 weeks for a short placement that I've got there. And so this is the YouTube studio setup that I'll be using while I'm here. So yeah, that's it. So that's my bedroom YouTube studio setup. If you have any questions about the setup, please feel free to drop a comment down below. I respond to all comments since I don't really get many of them, and I really appreciate the community engagement. Now, if you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate if you could drop a like on this video and consider even subscribing to my channel for more content like this, because it helps me reach more people, which ultimately is the goal of every YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.